Yeah, I'm sure she'll work out what's happened. Yeah. Us to come as well. Why are you guys going? Just go into the toilet, act normal. Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Hello. Seconds! Oh, get up, you cunt! Keepers. Go, Rovers! Go, you Rovers!
Substitution for Doncaster Rovers, number 21, Josh Martin, is number 16, Hayden Barlow.
That's not annoying.
Can't do this, come on. Sorry, mate.
Oh, my days. Go. Hey.
Come on! Fucking pull your socks up and move!
Go on. Oh, mate. Oh, come on!
And then qualified line will be rearranged midweek fixtures on Tuesday, the 8th of March at 7:45 p.m. To Lewis Coach and Leeds to Wales Sideway at 12:30 p.m. and then from Torway Station at 1 p.m. The price capture of £40,000. We want to get info at sports.limited.uk with the coach video in the subject line. Next up to the Rovers at the Rovers Stadium 2 weeks ago, Saturday the 12th of March. It was a time for Lincoln City to both out at 3 p.m. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, for us, the owners of the civil side of the original century and the solid side down at the dance. Good night.
What's Malta's result, do you know?
Don't know.
Ed?
live. 3, 2, 1.
And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Plough Lane. 9yrsTV post-match discussion on AFC Wimbledon 2, Doncaster Rovers 2 in League 1. 2-0 up after an hour. Goals from Jack Rodoni and Luke McCormick. And then a mad 5 minutes. Tommy Rove for Doncaster, who we discussed before kick-off. Their captain, very experienced. 2 good finishes, to be fair to him. Arguably 2 poor goals to concede from our point of view. And it just carries on our winless run into March for the calendar year. I'm Nick Draper. I'm joined to my left by Rob Boyce, and to my right, Tom Large, and then on my far right, Stuart Deacons. And on the screen, look at these fixtures coming up. Wigan away, Plymouth away are our next 2. And you're looking at it and you're going, when is this winless run going to come to an end? Stu, I thought, it's my fault because after an hour, I thought to myself, I'm a bit bored. Because we were 2-0 up, but it was so comfortable and so easy. And with all due respect to Doncaster Rovers, you've got a point. But at that point of the game, I actually thought, is this the weakest team I've seen? Even Crewe and Gillingham were poor down here, but Doncaster just seemed to have nothing about them. Body language for them at 2-0 looked awful. And yet somehow, crazy, a goal out of nothing and then capitalising momentum is the key point, that after they got to 2-2, that our confidence at that point was just gone.
I think you can see our confidence is literally bare, isn't it? In terms of, if you look at the first 20 minutes, we weren't great, got a goal from a set piece, didn't we? And then when we got the second one, you all of a sudden seen that sort of life come into the team, didn't you? But then just as quick as it comes in, Doncaster get... Hey look, John, I think George Marsh is probably still carrying a bit of bruising from his injury, because there was a couple of challenges that he would normally go straight in and take everything out, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not blaming him for the goal, but I just think, I can think there's an injury still there with that. And then, hey look, when you're down the bottom, confidence is literally non-existent, isn't it? And you saw ours drain, and Doncaster's literally like, where do they come now? So I think that's just a 2 of it, and in the end, 2-2. It wasn't a surprise got a second. I was just praying that they wouldn't get a third.
Tom, as Stu mentioned there, it was a bit of a... We started the game, he said, there wasn't much of a game in the first 20 minutes. He said we got the goal, there was very little goal mouth action at all. But then when we started the second half so well, and the goal we scored, the McCormick's goal, was a really well worked goal. You looked at that team and you thought, this is not a team, this isn't a struggling team. The confidence, Stu said, that coming back into us, we had the full-backs getting forward. I thought Lee Brown was immense getting forward. Front three caused them all sorts of problems. It's hard to explain how it just clicks like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it kind of shows, especially the age. I hate to say that we're a young squad, but you can see it from apart. And you see when we were 2-2, Rudy started doing a bit of skills and flair came out, and it started to kind of show how they can play. And I think when those players are taking the confidences up, we are play like a mid-table side. We saw that at the start of the second half. I think that's the best we've played all season. Some of the passes we were playing, the Lee Brown ball for the Luke McCormick header was fantastic, and I think it's something we've been hesitant on doing when we've been behind or low on confidence. So in a weird way, it's quite positive. Although we've drawn 2-2, it's quite positive to see that we can play some sensational football. So
yeah, we were getting behind the line, between the lines, getting it up wide, playing some really nice stuff, Rob. But then, as Stu makes the point, perhaps a missed tackle somewhere. It's fine margins, isn't it? As you said just before we were going on there, actually. Fine margins. The first goal for Doncaster, there's a ball sort of in the middle. I think we had 3 attempts to get a challenge and win the ball, but we missed every single one. Ball gets played out wide, and eventually it ends up in a goal. And then at the end, we talk about fine margins. We do, despite the last half an hour not being great from us, despite we seem to be a little bit withdrew right back into our shells. We could have nicked it at the very end.
Yeah, we could have nicked it at the end when Will got his head on that chance or cross at the end from Lee Brown, and I thought Lee Brown's delivery all afternoon was excellent. I thought it was in, but then at the same time, talking of Lee Brown, he did clear one off the line for them in that mad 5 minutes, so they could have went 3-2 up. It's frustrating because we've not done a post-match 9yrsTV live yet where we've won. It definitely feels like 2 points dropped today after being 2-0 up. And we just looked, I felt like when we went 2-0 up, we just looked a bit scared. We kind of went back into our shell and, invited pressure on us. And, once Doncaster got one, they're back in the game, and all of a sudden their crowd's up for it. And, we just went a bit into our shell.
It happens. It does happen. Right, so we've got people commenting on the YouTube channel. If you want to add your comments and your thoughts, please do so, and we'll discuss them. Pat Hayes has already done so. He says, we have to get something at Wigan. And I mean, Stu, football is a funny old game, but Wigan have got smashed at home today, 3-0 to Sunderland, which again it just seems a run of luck for us at the moment. If we look at today, Ben Hennigan gets a knock in training before Friday, and then today you're going to a difficult game away at Wigan in the first place. What you don't want is them to get a heavy home defeat the week before you go there, because you're expecting a reaction from them. It's just, do you see us getting anything from Wigan?
No.
Okay. Next question.
Can I say, it's interesting because and you're right, Rob. When we've done this, we want to have a win, don't we? You and I were smiling because we were thinking, we're going to be talking about a win.
Yep.
And then we weren't smiling. But we are getting to a stage now, aren't we? We keep saying we must get something at the next game. We must get something at the next game, and you can't keep saying that, can you? And just to say, actually, I don't know if I said to you, Nick, but Doncaster hadn't drawn a game in 18 games.
Yeah.
So thank you, I jinxed that.
We did look at beforehand with the stats, and I think they've only drawn 4 games before today the whole season. We did say before, even though we all predicted wins, that was silly of us. It did seem to have draw written all over it in hindsight, just because of respective runs and things like that. But Tom talking about that Wigan game next week and talking about a run of bad luck that we seem to be having, especially with injuries, and Hennigan especially. I mean, this is going to be hard and hard. Does the second goal happen if Hennigan's in there? Because it seemed to be like a goal that was in slow motion. The cross comes in from the right, and everyone's watching it, and then you can just see one player, which is Rowe, making that run. The only player attacking the ball, you can see it coming a mile off, and someone's just got to step up there and surely go and attack the cross.
I think Hennigan would. He's very good at being the first man to the ball, very good at clearing the ball. I think he has less mistakes in him than like a Nightingale or a Callum By, and I think he just backs that. I think he shores up those players around him as well. But yeah, he'll be on that head, and I think we'd, be maybe on an attack the way we were breaking in the second half. I think if Ben Hennigan clearance goes forward and we can make an attack out of it, but unfortunately, Tommy Rowe finds the back of the net, and it's 2-2 when the games were in turmoil, really. So
totally out of nowhere. And Rob, you mentioned before about how things change. What seemed to strike me with that after that mad 5 minutes was all of a sudden, to keep this on the sort of Hennigan theme, after Ben said about the performance last week, and we spoke about before the game about how he reacted in midweek at Gillingham, was winning every tackle, every header, winning all those 50-50s. It seemed like after they equalised, all those battles in the middle, all those 50-50s, all those headers, we were second to it. It seemed like constantly all the time.
I always find it funny with football because it's such a game of momentum.
It's cliche time. Funny.
I love a cliche.
It's such a game of momentum, isn't it? When we went 1-0 up and 2-0 up, we were winning all the first and second balls.
Yeah.
Also it goes to 2-1, and they start winning the first and second balls. They get their tails up. That said, I think we went a bit into our shell a little bit, and obviously with the run we're on, we look scared to lose, and inevitably, they make it 2-2. I do think we missed Ben's experience at the back. He got in Team of the Week this week in the EFL, made some great clearances and some great blocks at Gillingham. I would have liked to have him in starting 11 just because PK hasn't really had a run of games. He kind of comes in the team, then he drops out, and having that run of games momentum is big in football, and I just felt it was a bit of a big ask to have to come in for such a big game.
Absolutely. Paul Revel has commented on YouTube, can't see how this team can ever win a game right now. It does have that sense about it. It does. But then you also think sometimes you just need something to bounce for you, even when you're not playing. It's like, I can't believe we've gone 16 games without a win. And at any point during the season, normally you have a game where even if you're not playing well, something falls for you and you get something and you get a goal out of nothing, out of nowhere. And it's just not happening for us. I thought it was going to come right at the end with the Will header, where the keeper's made the save. But Tom, is that what we're looking at now? We're just looking for anything. To use the cliche, the goal off the back of someone's backside to go in and get us a win out of nowhere. Just kick-starts again.
I think there's been a few points this season. I remember one sticks out, especially Ben Hennigan. I think it went off someone's heel and then onto the keeper's leg and then out. I think that's a few games ago.
Yeah.
Today, the keeper makes an unbelievable save in the dying moments. I think it's just waiting for one of those to go in, get momentum from that. We go 3-2 up there, we win in the last minutes, everyone's buzzing, and hopefully take that to Wigan with us. But just need that ball to drop for us once.
Sunderland, we should have had about 2 or 3 penalties as well.
We
should have.
I was just going to say, to talk about how we win a game, you could argue that we had the crossbar, Gillingham hit the crossbar late, and I was down in that corner, and I thought it was in. To be fair, I couldn't see because everyone was standing up. I don't know what that's all about. But it looked a good save. But then you could argue, really, from that distance, I think it was 6-yard area. Don't give a chance, do you?
Well, no.
That's me being cynical, do you know what I mean? But I get what you're saying, you can't win a game, but you could argue the last two, we could have got 3 points out of. Not necessarily, I don't think we deserved anything at Gillingham, to be fair.
We didn't.
But you don't get what we deserve sometimes, do you? Do you know what I mean? But today, you could argue that up to 60 minutes, I thought it was going to be 3 or 4. I said to you, Rob, didn't I? I said, this could be up 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You know, and that wasn't being like, foolhardy. They looked on the ropes. And do you know what? The worst thing I've seen down here was Swindon. Do you remember Swindon come down here that season? Like they couldn't. Yeah. They were scared of their own shadow, weren't they? And for a little while, Doncaster literally looked terrible, didn't they? I don't know how a team can recover so quickly. That is just the most weird. If you want to see confidence, watch that game today.
Do we give ourselves a bit of credit for making them look so bad, though? I mean, you say they're the worst team down there for 60 minutes, but then could you also not flip that around and say we played well for 60 minutes?
I thought Jack O'Doney was. Do you know what? I thought Jack O'Doney was really good. Yeah. Woody in midfield. We've all said it, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? As good as George Marsh has been, you can see how much he missed Woody. Do you know what I mean? Massively. But
there were times in that second half when we were 2-0 up, and Woody was integral to this. Just bringing the ball forward, taking the ball forward, and spotting gaps between the lines and the spaces opening up all over the shop. And you're right, just not entirely sure then how, like you said, Stuart, just out of complete nowhere.
And 2 comfortable headers as well.
Yeah.
I don't know who put the first one in. Who put the first one in?
Rudy.
Sorry. No, the cross. Sorry.
The cross was McCormick.
Yeah. And so McCormick's got a cross and he's got a header.
Yeah.
And you could argue, Rudy's decent in the end, but McCormick isn't really a header and all, is he? Do you know what I mean? But they were easy goals. If you look at them again, they're so easy, aren't they? But
in terms of player performances, I thought Aaron Presley was sensational when he came on. I'm a big fan of him, so it's slightly biased, but
it's just that Addis band, isn't it? What's that all about?
It keeps his hair sort of. That's what it's there for.
Scottish, isn't it? Scottish.
Oh, there you go. It must be a Scottish.
What, is it all the wind up when you're up? Sorry, Tom. Is it all the wind when you're up north? You've got to keep it out of your eyes.
It's a good shout. But no, I thought you're right. I thought Presley brought his energy. Was winning headers, was smart. I thought it was encouraging sort of cameo from him.
It was a bit when him and Dapo ran through. Yeah, he pushed the ball forward. I think we were unlucky again there. But for you, does he start against Wigan, or would that be too tough of a game for him to go?
It's a hard ask, isn't it? It's a hard ask, and he's still coming back in to get to 90 minutes.
Sorry, man, I can see those final scores. What's going on?
Yeah, we'll have a look at the.
Sorry, I'm cheating. I can see them.
We'll have a look at them now, actually, because full times Portsmouth ended up 3-3, and Accrington Stanley did get the win over Wycombe in the end, but. At one stage, Morecambe were level on points with us. Ipswich got a late equaliser there, so we are still miraculously drawing our way to safety at the moment. 2 points ahead of them. The ones that you've got to watch Lincoln. That's been a terrible week for them. They've lost at home to Doncaster. They lost at home to Doncaster a couple of weeks ago, but they've lost at home to Gillingham today. And Stu, you've said this every year I've known you. There's always one team that drops into trouble.
Well, they got Marcus, didn't they? And they got some results together, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they've dropped.
And then it drops again.
Because Joe, I was on a show with a Gillingham guy, and he was saying that they had to hit a playoff form to get out of trouble. And Lincoln have only got a few results, but now they've lost a couple, and look, they're looking over their shoulders, aren't they? But I don't like to look at that.
It's true. The issue is the more we draw, the more we bring in the teams lower down into it.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Think of the gap between us and 23rd. A few weeks ago, that was 6 points. Now it's 4. So if we lose 2 more and Doncaster win 2 more, we can drop.
Only benefit is we have got 2 games in hand over Doncaster.
Yeah, but games in hand are good unless only if you win them, which we don't seem to do, unfortunately.
Plymouth away is one of them.
What's the other one in this? Or we just
Charlton, would it be Charlton at home?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How they got late.
So that could be reminiscent when we had Charlton midweek a few years ago when we were struggling. And we had a great atmosphere at Kings Meadow. I mean, I suspect it might be reminiscent of that. But I mean, looking elsewhere,
the boat race derby.
Oh, I see what you're going. I wonder where you're going there for a second.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about that one. Don't get words mixed up on that.
Entertaining game there. Certainly don't do that. Whatever you do.
That must be the poshest game ever, isn't it? Do you reckon? There's probably no swearing, no nothing.
No nothing.
Full sandwiches.
I did go to Arsenal Fulham once, and that was the most middle class game of football I've ever been a part of. But Oxford Cambridge against you. You said boat race. You're obsessed with making these games derby games, aren't you?
It is a derby game. It's the Unis, isn't it?
Plymouth is a dockyard derby, and I don't know.
Didn't Lee Brown agree with it? No, he didn't. He just said Plymouth are no good, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think basically it's a derby still, isn't it?
Okay, if you say so. Cheltenham Crew is a derby of teams beginning with C. It's the team beginning with C derby. But we did mention that some attempts at surviving, and this is the worst, most upsetting thing about this, is that Crew and Gillingham, who, apart from Doncaster today, were the weakest teams I've seen this season, have won as many games in League One this season as we have. And they have got a great result for them. They're still 8 points away from us, but it just keeps them thinking that perhaps there's an outside chance for them. Tom, what do you reckon? The Crew?
I don't want to jinx it because I'm going to say it and then we'll go down and they won't. But I'd like to think Rams and Engel. So, I'd like to hope they're down. With all due respect to Crew fans. But it's those 21, 22, and 23. They are the real challenge for us. You know, Doncaster today. That last half an hour, they didn't look like a relegation side. Ones they got, I mean, the complete change. Gillingham, again, I don't think they looked very special on Tuesday night.
No.
It wasn't. We didn't challenge them. They didn't challenge us. It was just a ball draw, really. And Morecambe, 2 points is nothing, really, is it? When at this bottom end of the table, so it could go anyway, really, and it's not particularly convincing.
Be interesting to see how Derek Adams does going back to Morecambe. Obviously, he's been appointed this week. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for us, to be honest with you.
Seem to have given them a bit of a lift today, because that's a good point for them against Ipswich. They took the lead and Ipswich equalised, but that's still they'd have been very, very happy with that result. Tom, you mentioned there Doncaster for the last half an hour didn't look like a side through in the bottom four, and Stuart and Rob, I'll open this one up to you because it will be, I've no doubt this will be a talking point after the game today with our fans. Half time, Doncaster took off centre half and put a forward on, and they went two up top. And although it didn't seem to have an immediate effect, obviously, for that first 15 minutes of the second half, as you said, they looked lifeless, they didn't look in the game at all. But just having that second body up there maybe did contribute to us struggling, especially coming into balls when you're going forward, just an extra man, extra thing to worry about. Did that help them out?
Yeah, well, they've got to do something, haven't they? They've got to do something. They didn't look happy. Frank Sinclair of sending off fame at Kings Meadow many years ago, wasn't it?
Legendary one, yes.
That was the best sending off ever. Sorry, I'm digressing. But he was going to do lappy on the touchline, so they had to do something, and he probably got into them. But you know what? The two up front, I still think it's a bit red herring, because if you looked at it, Ayo Basao was joining up with Cosgrove quite a lot. But we could, I was saying, the ground was literally jumping at one point, wasn't it? It was, the atmosphere was really good. Robbo, was getting a round of applause, and you chuckle to yourself sometimes, don't you? But I don't think it was because of two. I don't think we drew that game because of the two up front. They got a goal and they just went for it, didn't they? But we could have been 3-4. We were doing more than enough. So it's always hindsight, isn't it? But I'm not. John should have gone and won that game 3 or 4-0. You know what the biggest problem we've got as well, looking at that table, is Morecambe have got the top. People moaning at me, but it's the thing that worries me the most is that they have a goal scorer. Yeah. And you could argue today, and nothing against the attackers we got up front, but more, Stockton probably put chances away. And he's probably scored today, I'm guessing. He's the person who scores for them.
I'm sure he did.
But that's your biggest problem. They've got the best, they've got a top goal scorer. So will they stay in the relegation? Despite saying no.
No, it's not. I think Clark at Sunderland. Stuart.
But what I'm saying though is does the team get relegated? Would a team that's been relegated have the top goal scorer or second top goal scorer?
Yeah, no, true.
Well,
will that happen?
Every time we've stayed up, we've had a goal scorer who can score 15, 20 goals. Lyle Taylor, Pigger. This season we don't seem to have one, Do you know what I mean by that though? Yeah,
it's actually worrying Morecambe, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a goal scorer. Yeah. And he's scoring in a team that's in the bottom four.
I do agree with what Tom said earlier, but I think when Presley came on, I did actually like the look of him.
Yeah,
and I would actually like to see. I'm not saying putting two up front, cures all our problems, but I would like to see both Cosgrove and Presley up front, against and have two big men to put crosses into personally. We haven't played them two before, and I know some people will disagree with that.
Do you know what though? Also, Chiswick come on when they scored the first goal.
Yeah,
we've done that before, haven't we? We've done a sub when we conceded a goal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe talking about cliches. Maybe it's just me being old school. But I'm always like forget the sub.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Regroup and see what's going to go on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Chislett was the reason we.
No, not
do you know what I mean?
but-
Do you know what I mean by that? I thought he might withdraw the sub, but he kept the sub.
Do you think we brought off Maka because he was on the yellow?
That's what I wanted to say.
Which could have.
Oh,
What a
let's be
tackle!
fair.
That was a big tackle as well.
What I think I
Jesus.
looked for, yeah. Wow.
The ref took about 5 minutes to make a decision.
That
as well.
referee had a great V-neck as well. Did you notice that, by the way?
Yeah, I saw his
Like a
chest there.
vest or something.
His chest there was man of the match for me.
Oh, dude, it feels like
I genuinely don't know where to go from there. The referee's chest hair. Was
But
man
no, did
of
you
the
not
match.
notice his V-neck?
I didn't, to be honest
Did you
with
not
you.
notice that?
I don't really look at the referee too much. I don't really pay
And I was
much
up at the
attention to him.
stars, so I could still see it.
This is, wow, there you go. I must be going blind. Do you know what I did do today for the first time in, I think, it's about 20 years? I actually got my hands on the match ball today. I was well happy. It came...
You got what, sorry?
Got my hands on the match ball.
Oh, okay.
It came into the... I think it was... in the first half, one of the defenders just cleared it as far away as... Oh, no, it was us. It was Dan Ireland. Sorry. It was... Will just hoofed it as far as he could. Came landing right on top of us. The guy a few rows in front tried to head it back and completely messed it up. Right? And he completely lost it. And it just flew and dropped right in my hands. I was like, yeah, great. And then, what you do... I threw it in the opposite direction to where the Doncaster player was because it was their throw. But my shoulder's still not working very well, so I've done myself damage.
The ball's heavier than what you think.
Who scored at this point? Was that of interest?
It was 1-0. You can blame us. Hey, look, every time we've done this show, as you said, we've not had a win since this show
I
started.
was saying that Maka was because I was right. We were laughing. It was before that he went down, and I thought it was a little weak, and he went down and started limping. And I said to Rob, he will start running quite quickly in a minute when the ball's gone the other side,
Right, yeah.
and he just kept going. I thought it was late.
Well, it was late. But what was the interesting one was the referee who ran over, had his yellow card in his hand as he was running over, and then the referee decided just to decide I'm not going to book him straight away like he was about to. Stopped, looked to see how injured the Doncaster player was
to justify should he go.
it, and then he seemed to base his
Mad,
decision
isn't it?
on that, which is crazy, especially as
I know, we've got
Doncaster
bigger
player,
goals.
which was younger, who we mentioned before the show, didn't seem to be injured in any way
No,
whatsoever.
we got up and walked off straight
He was
away.
fine.
He just sat
He was
down for
absolutely
ages.
fine. He just seemed to sit there. It's bizarre.
Did he get away with it because it wasn't high? Because he looked reckless, if I'm being honest with you.
His
The speed
back,
he come in
his
at.
back leg was up as well, which didn't help him.
Yeah, I don't think it was a red card, but it was.
I've probably seen, I reckon some of the league officials we get, it
Possibly.
probably could have been.
Sunderland.
Possibly. Possibly. But you know what? Also, in the very first few seconds, Nick Janek got battered by their centre
Yeah.
forward. And
What happened with that? I didn't see it. I
Well,
just looked up and everyone was like crowding around.
I think he just left it. Did he leave his foot in? So it was his
I
chest.
was just coming out, but it started off a bit fiery, didn't it?
Yeah,
Which
I
you
think
expect the game to.
The referee probably thought maybe if that had been after half an hour as opposed to 30 seconds, maybe their centre forward would have been off. Maybe, I don't know, and that's maybe influenced him with McCormick. I don't know. We don't know. But are we saying that's the reason McCormick came off? Because I thought it was strange, given you've got players who said he's on a goal and an assist. It's an odd one to take off. Maybe there's a knock or something. I don't know.
The energy he has as well. Like for 90 minutes, he'll run himself into the ground. He's a real workhorse.
That little
in
flick he
team.
done on the halfway line, he literally flicked it over his shoulder and went, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that might have been a 2-0. I get confused, but I think it was when we were winning. And they're the things you do. I don't know about you, but I thought when we were 2-0 up, we then started showing that 1-2's running off the ball, third man.
Striker.
Yeah.
About us.
And it just
All
shows
those
you, doesn't it?
things.
It's just confidence. If you could bottle it up, I don't know what you do with it, but if you bottled it up, I don't know what I was going that long, but yeah.
Give it. Spread it around amongst the sworn. Pat Hayes, let's get Presty there with someone near him instead of having two wide men every time.
This is a fair point though, because if you look at Gillingham, I mean, the Cosgrave start only lasted 14 minutes, but even still, Cosgrave was playing like right wing.
Yeah.
I just feel like it might not work. I'm not a football manager, but if you go those two up top,
Nick don't play
someone
football,
can.
man.
You know what? I don't.
I'm top of the league in my save.
This is
So.
what I'm saying. I don't think we'll get anything out of Wigan. So I'd just like to see two big men up top, and personally, but
To be, it's going to be very
I
negative.
can see George shaking his head out the corner of my eye, which is putting me off. But
I can't see him, to be fair.
It's got very dark in here.
George told
Well,
lights
look,
out,
Papa
so you can't see his head.
Hayes seems to agree with me. All right, so I've got somebody else in my corner.
There you go, yeah. We'll see what happens at Wigan. But Wigan, like we said before, I mean, but the problem with, do you know what? Okay, all right. I got in trouble for this the other day because I started talking about really random things.
That's unlike you.
But you know, in 1066, right?
What?
Okay, bear with me on this. Bear with me on
What happened in
this.
1066?
In
We had rugby
1066.
then. We had rugby goals by then.
In 1066, we lost to William the Conqueror, right? down in Hastings. That was only because a month earlier we were up in York having a battle with the Vikings, and we were knackered, we were shattered. This week coming up, we've got to go from Wigan on the Saturday all the way down to Plymouth on the Tuesday. Both of these games are essentially free hits where you think just take whatever you can get. Do we try to be different?
Traffic cones up there.
Don't talk to me about traffic cones.
Lee Brown, by the way,
Sensitive
literally
subject.
has no idea where that question comes from. And I couldn't even defend you, Nick. I had no idea
I'll
where that
explain it
question
to him.
was.
It's fine. But on the point of travelling Wigan-Plymouth, are we thinking anything from either of those games is an absolute bonus? Do we say, let's not worry about Wigan, make a few changes, do maybe a Bolton scenario, and then save ourselves up where Plymouth we might get something? What do you think?
I think Plymouth weren't very good when they came to us early on in the season. I thought we could have beaten them then, but they then picked up good form and were top of the table for weeks. So out of the two, I think Plymouth is certainly, although it's the second game, we travel a lot and it's away, and probably won't be too many away followings with a 5-hour journey there on a Tuesday night. So I think we, like I said, maybe a point would be a best result for both the games, and then we look to, I think, Charlton and making sure that we can string together some proper football. I think.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
George started talking.
Sorry, Tom, we've got Mika Richards on the end over here, laughing at everything.
It's about George just thought, no, that's enough for me. George is gone. George is out. But yeah, so Rob, as Tom says, they're tough games. We're not.
Yep.
We'll see how many travel down to Plymouth on Tuesday night. A really difficult one.
That's why George walked out the door, because he's heading
on his
to
way.
Plymouth
Yeah,
now.
No, he's already up to Wigan. He's supposed to be outside the team.
Let's get there early.
Every time we do the next 5 fixtures, they look tougher all the time.
They do, but Lincoln at home. So there's my question, talking about the 2 away games. But actually, did you look at Plymouth and you think, well, actually, let's save ourselves for a more winnable home game with Lincoln on the Saturday?
But that's dangerous, isn't it?
It's always dangerous.
And that's your problem, isn't it? Because we won at Wigan. Probably his first game, wasn't it? When Wigan won 3-2.
3-2, yeah, last year, yeah.
All right, they were skinned back then. Do you know what I mean? But it just worries you, doesn't it? Plymouth are decent. Lincoln at home. Cheltenham good at home. They got Alfie Mayo scoring goals for fun, and typical. And who's the top Maloney they got?
Keona Tete.
That worries me. And then Charlton. Yeah. I don't know. I know what you're saying, but it's just when you save those games up, if you lose it, you're not saying we'd ever go, we'll sacrifice 2 games, because you don't. But I don't know, Lincoln have got Marquis as well, so again, they've got a goal scorer there.
When we went to Lincoln, I had the pleasure of paying £10 for the iFollow, and that was they just looked weak and didn't really look like a decent team.
Yeah.
But
I think that was our best performance of the season, in Accrington away.
Aaron Presley scored.
We got a clean sheet, didn't we? Well,
yeah, we did, yeah. Clean sheet.
16 games unbeaten, so...
16 games unbeaten?
Sorry, unbeaten.
What are we worrying about?
Hey, look, the league's upside down.
Time charge.
Sorry, 16 games without a win, and actually next 5. So, look, we can't go 20 games without a win, but they're your next 5 fixtures.
Yeah.
You could make a case that Plymouth is a free hit in terms of its game in hand. But
we like the phrase free hit, don't we?
I
think the last 6 games have been free hits.
Hang on, there's a but here. We're at the business end of the season, aren't we? We need to.
You do get random results.
Like me and you were talking, and we were saying you'll probably start seeing some wild results.
You do get random results.
And hopefully we're amongst that, Yeah. 6 points from the next 2 games, guys.
Positive thinking.
There you go. Positive international.
We need to win that game. We need to just get this win done. I think just as much as we talk about it, the players will talk about it, and they know about it, don't they? Do you know what I mean? So it's just
need to get that monkey off the
by
back.
hook or
Isn't
by
it?
crook, you just win a game. We're probably going to win a 2 or 3, and that's not. Do you know what I mean? It's just
for a
record.
Saying the wrong kind of records as well.
Yeah.
Anyone know? George, come on, you must know.
Record.
What's the record for not winning the games without winning?
As far as we don't really hold it to be.
Oh, was it like? Who's the worst team you've ever seen?
Do you know what? I don't know about the Football League. Do you remember the Derby team that got relegated from the Premier League? They must have got about 30
Swindon
games.
Swindon when they got in the Premiership under Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah,
they're going back now, aren't we?
That is going back, but yeah, they had a long winless run. So it might well be Derby, but I mean, well, we are. To round up, Stu, who was your pick of our team today?
I could argue between Alex Woodyard and Jack Rodoni. I was just pleased to see Woody back, for being truthful. As much as I said, as good as George Marsh is, and he plays well, Woody just adds a different. But you know what? 2 holding players in that midfield did worry me earlier when we started.
Tom?
For me, between Lee Brown and Woodyard, I really like Woodyard back. I think he holds that midfield together. He allows Marsh a little bit more freedom because Marsh is quite good. He can play a good forward pass. He can sometimes take a man on. But Lee Brown, I mean, assist and that sliding clearance off the line was sensational. And I think he off the man back. But yeah, Lee Brown for me.
Yeah, I was going to go for Lee Brown as well, just because that clearance off the line. Yeah. You know, probably follow on from Stu's comments that having Woodyard back is massive. You know, he really does bring that experience in that centre midfield role.
Lee Brown probably my pick, but what was interesting, I don't know if you guys noticed, as they came off the pitch at the end of the game, people that stayed behind to applaud the team off the pitch, Lee Brown was not having any of it. I think he stayed to take the applause, but as he was walking off, just shaking his head, not looking up. I think he sees that really as...
Who's that? Brown.
2 points dropped.
Like you see, Woodyard also was straight back to, when we went one up. He was straight back to the centre circle and shouting at people to come back.
Yeah. Who actually won Man of the match? Do we know?
Rudy.
Yeah.
He really got the sponsors man of the match.
It's very good.
But I'm not
I think
Rudy
played well. He had a bit of swagger about him today, which is good. I think he needed that rest. So.
There was a bit on the touch. There was a bit on the touch man over there. It was like river dance. The amount of dummies he done.
Oh, he was at once.
Do you know what? If Mark's looking, he could get some music on that, and we could have some fun. River dance, proper.
He was. But he looked like. Do you know what? At one stage, as I said, and we'll finish up at 2-0 up. It just looked like we did actually look like we were enjoying it.
It looked like almost like they were on a training ground. It was like like a playground. Like they're just having a bit of fun and trying to work things out.
Is that the problem? I know we're going to finish. Is that the problem though? Was it too easy? That's the thing, that you got to kill. And Woody and Lee Brown would be ones that would know that you just kill those games. You just kill them.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what it is.
Those experienced heads will be something that we can learn from as well, which is good.
Yeah.
Positives.
There we go.
Quite positive. I've never laughed so much after a post match.
Well, no.
I just felt I was not winning.
You have to laugh because otherwise you would cry after 15 games without a win, and which is essentially third of the season. But anyway, all right. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget the interview, Darius Charles interviewing Lee Brown, will be available on the official AFC on YouTube for later today, so you can watch it back if you missed that earlier, and do so because it was a good laugh and a really good interview. But for now, we'll say thank you, Rob. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, guys.
Tom and Stu. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone from earlier, George Amory and Matt Howard and Spike behind the camera. And we will be back in a couple of weeks, I guess, for that Lincoln game. So yeah, we'll see you then.